I'm Oonagh McDonald. I was asked to join the panel to replace one of the participants listed who unfortunately had to drop out. So I agreed to do this late during the reception yesterday evening. So glad to be here. First of all, I think a distinction has to be made between blockchain technology and the uses to which it has subsequently been put. Blockchain technology can be used to good effect, and I have one or two examples of that which I may introduce later. But I want to focus on two things. You've heard a great deal about transparency. It is not as simple as that. If you want to buy a Bitcoin and then to send the amount you bought to someone else, then you have to have the private key and the public key. So what that results in, that is assuming you've managed to remember your private key, and there are notorious incidents of people who've lost their private keys and have lost an awful lot of money. They should have had the wit to write it down and put it into their safes at home, but apparently not. Now, you have to have those two keys. So what this means is, yes, you can see the transaction. You can see that A sent 10 Bitcoins to B, but you don't know who A is, and you don't know who B is. And it's difficult to find that out. You can find that out, and this happens sometimes, if the sender is stupid enough to purchase his Bitcoins from his own IP address. Then that can be searched. And then you can find out, taking that starting point, who the recipient might be. So with considerable effort, you can dig into those transactions, but it takes time and effort, sometimes days, to find out who A is and who B is. So there are two elements always of all of these digital assets being transferred from one person or from one organization to another. You need to know who holds the private key, and that is, of course, the point of the private key. And if you go back to what Satoshi said in his manifesto, you find that that was very much the point. It was to be peer-to-peer transactions without the intermediacy of any other financial institution whatsoever. So not as transparent as has been claimed. That's the first point. Secondly, I want not only to refer to Bitcoin, which may not be the best way of getting monies that you want quickly to the recipient, but then you can use the stable coins and notoriously Tether. Tether its circulating supply is 90 billion tethers. It claims to be 1-to-1, one tether pegged to $1. Now, in order to make that claim substantial, you have to, you have to have the reserves. Tether is based in a British Crown dependency, I'm sorry to say, the British Virgin Islands. It is registered only as a company there. It is not registered as a virtual asset service provider, which it should be under the current legislation, which BVI has just passed. We're supposed to have done that by July the 31st. It has not done so. I checked BVI's website yesterday and couldn't find Tether on it at all. So it's still not been done. So that is not regulated at all. It's claimed to have the relevant number of dollars is provided by, is substantiated allegedly, by simply an attestation by BVO an accountancy firm based in Milan. But it is not an audit. They do not go through the books with a fine-tooth comb to find out where the reserves are and which bank has them. There are various journalists suggest this, that, or the other place, but no one actually really knows for sure. No one has gone to a bank and the bank has admitted holding any of the relevant reserves for Tether. By the way, the Chief Finance Officer, which I find interesting, does not reside in the British Virgin Islands. He resides in Milan. Chief Financial Officer was formerly a surgeon dealing with breast implants and decided that plastic surgery was not the future for him. This was much more interesting. So there you are. How to deal with this? I just want to make this last point so that I don't take up all the time and leave others to reply, is transparency, partly to protect the consumers, the purchasers of Tether, because if you look at Tether's website, which is full of the wonders of Tether, of course, what it doesn't tell you is, what it should tell you is, how do you redeem your Tethers for dollars? Is there a cost involved in that? Is there a delay? Are you limited in the number of Tethers that you can withdraw on any one occasion? And what happens if a lot of people want to withdraw their Tethers and turn them into dollars, or to redeem them, in other words, all at once? Interesting question. Because that is, the answer to that we don't know, but we suspect that the dollars will not be there in a liquid form to enable Tether to redeem a large number of holders of Tether at once. And then, of course, you'll have a run of it, on it. Just as a last point, because I do agree with this being a matter of context as well, and of course, the traditional financial world is vastly different and vastly larger than the world of crypto. Interesting point. After the collapse of Luna and of FTX, which, and those of you may follow the trial of SBF in your Wall Street Journal and in other newspapers, very interesting indeed. Continues, confidence in the market really did collapse. So last year, mid-year, the total crypto market, according to Coinbase Cap, was about $3 trillion. This morning, I checked $1.1 trillion. So it is a shrinking market at the moment because too many bad actors and too little regulation. And I'm not here talking only about money laundering, but you properly referred to fraud, and there are many people who wish that they had never heard of Luna and never heard of FTX, because the losses, and this always concerns me, the losses for ordinary consumers, people coming forward in the autumn talking, or in the fall, I should say, since I'm in America now, in the fall, talking about that was going to be my deposit on a house. That was going to pay for my child's education. That was going to help finance medical treatment, and so on. All gone, completely. With very little possibility of getting it back. So the consumer is not properly protected in terms of regulation, not in the US, but more likely in the EU as markets in crypto assets legislation comes into force. But that's a delay for that to fully come into force. So that's the issues as I see them.
May I